Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. Today we're ranking some GLAMSHOP eyeshadow palettes. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. In case my voice sounds a little differently than it normally does, I'm still recovering after losing my voice due to some virus type of thing. At least that's what the doctor told me. The only thing I had was I lost my voice and I was coughing up a storm every minute I would speak. And I would feel out of breath, but that's it. I didn't feel ill, whatever, which is why there was no video on Tuesday, but I just thought I could come on here and film this for you really quickly because I do need to save my voice just a little bit, and I think by tomorrow it will be back to normal. I was hoping that this video could already be the new Catrice products. I have most of them in, but one, and it's the most important product I need to show you. It's their new sort of Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter dupe. That's the one thing I don't have in yet. So I'm still waiting for that package. And when that gets here, I'm going to film it straight away. And hopefully that's going to be up in the next couple of days. That's why I'm hoping, hopefully tomorrow's or Saturday's video is going to be the updated Catrice Fall Winter 2024 collection, because that's what we're talking about. So yes, let's rank some GLAMSHOP and let me get to it. If you're unfamiliar with the channel, then hi, my name is Maaike. I live in the Netherlands. I don't normally sound like this, not this raspy, but I have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, and this just means I enjoy makeup in a slightly different way than most people here on the interwebs, you could say. I've been reviewing makeup for more than a decade. I love eyeshadow palettes, Essence and Catrice, and getting the use out of my makeup. So I hope you're here for that and you would like to consider subscribing. So I have 8 GLAMSHOP palettes. Most of them are 9 pans, and I have one that is a larger pan size. I also have a bunch of GLAMSHOP singles. Those are not included in the ranking because we would be here for a long time and my voice cannot handle that just yet. Plus, since it's palette month, we are only focusing on the palettes. However, I did show swatches of all of those GLAMSHOP singles I have at some point in time. So I'll make sure to link you to any blog post or video I have down below so that if you want to see what singles I have, that you can find it. And the reason why I'm mentioning GLAMSHOP singles here is that many of the palettes I have to show you are either sold out or discontinued, because GLAMSHOP is a brand. In case you're unfamiliar with them, they're from Poland, so they're an EU-based indie brand. And they do a lot of palettes, but they're always a limited edition. So when they run out of stock, they tend to either, sometimes they bring something back in stock, but very often they will actually discontinue it, which is very unfortunate. However, they will very often keep on selling some of the shades from those palettes as singles. So if there's anything you see here today and you can no longer find the actual palette, just type the name of the palette into the GLAMSHOP website search bar, and very often you will get shades popping up that were originally in these palettes, because they still sell the shades originally, and you can very often get them on a deal. I only paid like €1.50 for some of mine, so they have sales with those singles regularly, so that's a way to get a deal on these. Another thing you should know is that when GLAMSHOP releases new palettes, they seem to be always doing something that looks like something they've done before. So even though they discontinue things really quickly, they will bring something out that looks almost identical to something I'm showing you today. So even if you missed out on some of these, definitely have a look at the website and the collection the way it stands now, and you may still be able to pick up a palette that is very similar to some of the things I'm showing you here today. So with that preamble out of the way, let me get to the ranking. Palette number 8 is the Veri Peri, and I think this is one that a lot of people saw coming. I was super excited when this was launched. I don't think it's still available, and this is a periwinkle monochromatic color story, because that's what GLAMSHOP does a lot. They do a lot of monochromatic color stories, but this is quite blue. This is sort of like more lavender, and then we have some even lighter bits here at the top. So this is not very depth heavy, like there's not a lot of contrast. So this is not my favorite palette for that reason, because you definitely need to pull something in to be using as a bit of liner, or maybe if you have a deeper skin tone to really deepen up that outer V. This doesn't offer that, and I felt as I was using it, it was a bit of a one-trick pony because none of the shades really have the undertones that they can be matched together. So these purples don't go with the bluish undertone thing. So you can do multiple looks with this one palette, and I really enjoy it, and I really enjoy the formula. But this is just not a standalone palette for me, and there is a palette I will be showing you in a minute that I think has some shades that you can pull into this and make it more versatile, which is why I ended up picking it up. But yeah, this is beautiful, be it a little lackluster in terms of the versatility you actually get, but it does have the lovely, like all of these have the same level of quality. So if you like really foily shimmers, really great impactful mattes, then GLAMSHOP is definitely a brand to look out for. So the next 4 or 5 palettes, I could have ranked them in any position. That's how strongly I feel that these are all of equally good quality. It just really comes down to color story for me in the ranking that I've created here. But if you were to ask me to film this video again tomorrow, I might rearrange the next couple of spots in this ranking because they're equally as good, and I love all of these. These all could have been in the #1 spot even, but for the sake of the video, I'm ranking the blue palette in the #7 spot. So all of the names, or some of the names of these palettes, are in Polish, which I don't speak, so I can't pronounce it, so I'm not gonna try. But this palette is a lovely blue tone color story. It's one of the very few true one blue color story that I still have in my collection. I've actually decluttered other palettes over this because I just think it's so good. It gives you all the blues you want. This vibrant blue is lovely. This deep navy is really lovely. You get some really good shimmers in here as well. You just get everything you'd want from a blue tone palette, which is what I enjoy about this one, but it's blue, and it's all blue. And that's why this isn't necessarily something I'm going to be reaching for on the daily. But if I want blue shadow, I have it in a really stunning formula that I really enjoy. So that's why I still have this palette, and I will not declutter it anytime soon. It is really good. If you love blue, it's no longer available, I'm afraid, but this is really good. But I think about half of the palette is still available as singles. Then this is a palette I got on sale, so I have no clue whether this is still available, but this is the purple palette, and this is the palette that I think goes really well with the Veri Peri. That's why this is ranked in #6, because for a purple palette, I don't feel this is my favorite purple palette. That still goes to the Violette Étendue because it has those neutral ins, but you still have all of your pops of purple that you could possibly want in that one palette, so that still remains unbeaten in my book, which is why this had to be ranked a little bit lower. I did really enjoy using this, but for a purple palette, I felt it wasn't purple enough because we get a lot of pinky leaning purples in this. So a purple can be a bit more reddish toned, it can be a bit more blue toned, or like this one, it can be a bit more pink toned. So especially this, and also something like this, it's all quite pink heavy, which I don't mind. It looks really stunning because I do have that cooler leaning undertone, but it's not what I want with a purple. I like my purples to be cool toned, but more blue leaning. However, I do feel this palette can really nicely round out the Veri Peri, which is why I purchased it. It has a couple of really stunning shimmers in here, so I enjoy it for that. The only shade that's a bit weird is this pink shimmer, because it's got a gold flip, so it's the only shade that's warm toned in a sea of cooler toned purples, which I didn't understand. And my fear why I didn't buy this initially, because this has been out for a while, was that these purples were going to be more reddish toned, and they're not. So I'm very glad about that. They're very workable shadows, really easy to play with, but the undertones of this I just didn't love. If you want to see the looks I did with any of these, then I will make sure to link you to any of the reviews I've done with these in the past. But this is currently in my to try pile, so the review of this is going to be coming up in one of my next videos later this month. So it's still going to happen within August. You're going to see the swatches and the looks for this one. Another older palette is one of their green palettes. So I think they had a couple of green palettes. They also used to do a camo palette, but that seemed to be more warm toned, and I like this one because it had some brighter options. And in terms of a green toned color story, this kind of fits the bill. You get some of those khaki greens, but it doesn't lean very olive, which I enjoy. We get some really good bright tones in here. We get something that leans even a little bit more yellow toned, like this acid color shade is bang on. A lot of shimmers in here, really, really good. That shimmer in the middle especially is just so good, really lovely, but they've come out with another green toned color story that I've just enjoyed a little bit more, which is why this one is ranked in the number 5 spot. I had to think, where are we at in the ranking? Number 4, and this may surprise some people because this is one of my favorite palettes that I've tried in a long time, but there are just other things in the line that I just like a touch better, and it's the Kashmir. So this is one of their larger palettes. This is an 18 pan palette, and it is very cool toned and great for fair skinned people. Again, lovely shimmer formula, but you also get all the mattes that you want. It leads nicely cool toned. This and sort of like this is the only thing that's truly warm toned in here, and that's still quite neutral. Like, it doesn't pull like overly peach or overly orange anytime, but all of this is really nicely cool toned. I love these two shimmers here. This shimmer is really lovely. This is really, really good, but I think that in the grander scheme of my entire eyeshadow palette collection, this isn't that unique. I think the looks I created with this, I can create with other palettes that I like equally or possibly even better than I do this one. And that's why this one I ranked in the number 4 spot. Remember, I said that I had tried a green tone palette that I liked better, like the purple palette. This is one you haven't seen me swatch yet or do the looks with, but that's coming up in the same video as the purple palette, because this green palette that they've just launched this spring is also on the to try pile for August. And a lot of brands were doing these warm green color stories out of nowhere. Like, we got the Yucca palette from Natasha Denona, you got the Nomad palette, the Oden's Eye, Stone, whatever, Stone and Rock, I think it was called. And then GLAMSHOP did this, and it's 9 pans, and it's those color stories, but at like half the price of all of them. And this is all I need. This is all I need. We get some yellows over here. All of these greens have a gray undertone. This is the only warmth you get. This does, it has that like antique-y gold with a green flip and then like a little bit of yellow, but I felt on my lids it didn't look that warm toned in the end. But yeah, all of these shades are really lovely, and I think color story wise this is a bit more on the grungy side of the spectrum than the other green palette I have that leans more towards a brighter green, and I tend to love the more like something like I'm wearing today. This is Oden's Eyes Jewels and Gem actually, but it creates a pretty similar look in the end. I could have created this look with this, but then the shimmers would have been better. Ooh, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. But yeah, this has really lovely shimmers. I also love we only get 3 mattes and 6 shimmers in this one. Really lovely quality. I really enjoyed playing with this, and it's just lovely. My top favorite GLAMSHOP palette, but that you can no longer buy, is the Kokosanka, and that's why I couldn't rank it in the number 1 spot, even though I really enjoy this one. The That's Taupe by ColourPop, I've always compared this to. This is like the European sister of it. They're not 100% dupes, but you can get similar looks out of both of the palettes. This is a bit deeper and a little bit more glam than the That's Taupe would be, mainly because the shimmer in the middle with that blue flash just really amps things up, and I just really enjoy the shimmer formula. And here, again, 5 shimmers, 4 mattes, really nicely cool toned. This is a bit warmer, but these work really well. We don't get a black in here, but it looks almost black here in the viewfinder, but it's like a really good deep charcoal brown gray. Stunning. This looks very warm toned in the pan because it looks like it's got a bronze, but it's like a cooler bronze. It's that gold bronze that is more on the taupe spectrum, you could say. And then you just have these really lovely neutral shades. So you can do something super basic with this. If you put this in the crease and then this all over the lid, for instance, but you can also go full-on smoky glam without it being grays, which is why I've always appreciated this one. Again, a palette you can buy singles from the website till this day. I believe especially that shimmer in the middle is still part of their Turbo Shadow collection, so you can check this out if you'd like. However, I've tried one of their newer cool tone color stories, and I think I prefer it. And that is why the Zimna Mocca is the one I'm ranking in the number 1 spot. This was also really high in my cool toned color story ranking that I posted last Sunday. and for good reason. This is fair tone, but it's cooler tone than the Kokosanka or the That's Taupe, and it just has really lovely shimmers. This has 5 shimmers as well, because the white doesn't look like a shimmer, but it does have a flash. So 5 shimmers, 4 mattes. This brown has a sparkle to it, but the sparkle doesn't translate to the eyes, so I'm counting it as a matte. Stunning, stunning, stunning shimmers. This one, this one, this one are all aces in the hole. And this one I thought wasn't gonna go because it looks like it's a pink with a blue shift when you look at it in the pan, but on the eyes, that pinky tone, it doesn't translate. So it looks very plum compared to everything else here in the palette, especially if the light like this, it just looks a bit pinky and weird compared to all of the other shades, but on me it pulled like a neutral and it was stunning. It's not overly deep, but you can still do deep things, but it's not as deep as the Kokosanka, which is again why it's perfect for me for every day. Really impactful shimmer formula. It doesn't have any of the flaky shimmers like we get in the green. Let me show you what I mean there. You can see in the pan the different texture. Like this one has a very flaky texture. This doesn't have that. So I feel that this is even a little bit easier to work with. Less prone to fallout, even though that's still a really stunning shimmer, not gonna lie. But this is just a touch easier to work with, and this is just right up my street when it comes to the color story. To me, that would be a very well-deserved #1 spot for the Glam Shop Cold Coffee. That's what people told me it translates to. So I hope they bring that back. It is currently sold out on the website. Sometimes things just stay saying sold out for a while and then they bring it back. So I hope, fingers crossed, you can still get it, or just check it out to see if they have any of the singles that you might still be able to recreate this palette yourself. But yeah, I do really hope they bring it back. They do have a new cool tone color story that they launched as part of their summer collection, the 70s one. There is a very nice neutral sort of cool toned leaning color story in that one as well. So maybe if you were to buy that one, then you'd have a bit of the Kashmir, the Kokosanka, and the Zimna Mocca all in one go, because I think it's a 12 pan or a 15 pan. It's a little bit larger again. So yeah, that's it for me for today. Thank you so very much for watching. I'm going to let my throat recover a little bit more. So thank you so very much for joining me today. I really appreciated you being here and taking the time out of your day to watch my videos. I'm still in the midst of doing eyeshadow palette month, so I still have a lot of eyeshadow palette content coming your way, save for that one, like, a random Catrice video, but I just post those whenever I have all the products in. And I know that Catrice sometimes, like at the end of August, usually releases new products. So I always leave a little bit of space in my planning schedule for that to happen. And yes, if Essence comes out with new stuff, which they'll probably do in the next week or two, I'll buy that as well. You can expect what's new from Essence for fall, winter as well. So lots of other content coming your way. So I'd like to stay tuned for that. For now, take care, everybody. I hope you have a great one, and then I hope to see you in my next video. Bye-bye.